Hey everyone, Anthony here. We are going international today. My guest is all the way from Qatar. Currently holds the record for furthest guest. If anybody out there, maybe in Australia, wants to challenge him. Tassos Kotzias is originally from Greece. After a corporate career, he moved to Qatar with his family and he started a coaching practice. So we're going to hear all about his story, some of his experiences having a family internationally. I really appreciate you listening. If you'd click the follow button and leave me a rating, that would really mean the world to me. It's the best way to help grow the podcast. Anyway, on to the show.
Welcome back to the Successful Working Parents podcast, the podcast where we talk to successful working parents. My guest today, he is a women's empowerment coach. He is a father of two. Hailing from Qatar, ladies and gentlemen, Tassos Kotzias. Tassos, welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. It's my pleasure being here, and I'm excited to run this podcast with you. And let's see how we can bring value to our audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you as well. So why don't you give everybody a quick little background on your career thus far?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So I was not a coach the whole my life, right? So I started with a corporate career. When I after my MBA degree, my master's degree, etc. I came to the corporate world, working really hard, being also workaholic for a few years. It's waking up early in the morning, going back home very late in the evening.
Oh, yeah.
So so I did this for like 25 years, not at this pace, of course, but still, all these 25 years I was in the corporate environment, the corporate world, and you know how it is there with the fast pace, requirements, fast pace obligation, decisions, challenging environment, challenging bosses, challenging colleagues. So slowly, I started shifting, and especially when we came here to Qatar as a family, I started seeing life priorities differently and my professional priorities differently. So the last few years, I decided to go into coaching, and specifically holistic coaching and women empowerment coaching. And there are several, of course, experiences that brought me here. But right now, this is what I'm doing, and this is my passion, this is my mission, and this is how I would like to serve, and I would like to, provide and create some impact in the society, in my friends, and my clients, and why not leave a legacy as well?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your role as a father. You have two kids, is that right?
Yes, I have two kids, Socrates, which actually is our biological son, and Maya, who's adopted from Ethiopia. And Socrates is almost 14, and Maya is 7 now, and she's been with us since she was 1.5 years old when we first met her in Ethiopia.
Wow. So is you're saying Socrates, like the philosopher?
Like a philosopher, exactly, like the
Love
Greek
that. That's
philosopher.
great. So okay, so you're originally from Greece and now you live in Qatar. So you definitely hold the record for my guest that's furthest from where I live in New York City. So
Oh,
congratulations for that record. But yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about just the journey of moving to Qatar.
yeah, that's an interesting. It's an interesting experience, I would say, because back in like 2010, 2011, I did not even know where Qatar is. Literally, I did not even know. Right, and then my wife was working for many years for football, especially starting with the Athens Olympic Games in 2004. So she was working as a professional, as an executive in football, organizing committees, etc., with the Global Federation, the European Federation, etc. And then back in 2013, so exactly 10 years ago, she got an offer to come and work here in Qatar for the World Cup, or for the FIFA World Cup, which basically took place a few months ago in the end of 2022. So once she got the offer, she was a bit, she had like, she was not sure whether it was a good move for her, whether it was a good move for the family, etc. So I told her, look, if that's for you, your vision, that's for you a dream, if it's for you, your next step in your career, and you think you can manage and you can succeed in that, I quit right now. So this is what I did. I quit. I quit my job. I had a very senior position. I was commercial director in a pharmaceutical company in Greece. Very, very well paid, especially back then, even during the crisis. Back then, if you remember, in Greece, there was a huge crisis following the global economic crisis of 2009.
Sure.
I still had an amazing package, but I took a decision, and then this is how we came to Qatar.
And is that what inspired you to start your coaching practice?
Yes, slowly, yes, it inspired me in what sense? When I came here, I didn't find really what I was doing before, and I didn't want also to follow what I was doing before in my business career with around pharmaceuticals, around fast-moving consumer goods and all this. I was fed up. I was tired. I saw that as a new experience, a new opportunity for a new experience, professional for me. So I stayed back home for at least 6 months, to take care of our son back then, Socrates. He was only 4. We need to settle down. We need to find maybe a housemaid or a nanny, to take care of him slowly before I go back to the professional life of mine. So I fully lived the experience of 6 months, minimum 6 months of being, let's say, the mother and the father at home in a way, because my wife was already working like 10, 12 hours a day. So it was challenging for her already in a new environment, new people, etc. So slowly, I started practicing Kung Fu as a martial art, because this is something that I wanted always on the back of my mind. And I found an
Kung
amazing
Fu, you said?
Kung Fu,
Okay.
and I found an amazing master here in Qatar. And slowly, I came into this space of physical training or mental training and mental challenges through an Asian, let's say, culture, through an Asian point of view. And this inspired me a lot, because I started also meditating. I started doing different kind of practices, energetic practices, because Kung Fu is not only an external martial art, it's also an internal art. It's an internal energy art. So one thing brought the other. And then after also some hypnotherapy sessions, I had some incredible insights about me becoming a coach. So this is where it's really started. I started shifting. And then I said, okay, I have some skills. I have a big experience in the corporate world. I had already the ability, to listen to women colleagues already back then. And I had like an instinct, to listen to them, to be able to give them advice, to be able to help them, surpass any of their challenging at work. And then I said, okay, if I'm going to be being a coach here, and I invest a lot in my physical training, I invest a lot in my mental health, in my mental training, at the same time emotional and spiritual, why not being a holistic coach and specifically, try to serve and create impact for women. So this is this is what really brought me here into this journey.
Wow. So how has the transition been from corporate employee, corporate America to, or not corporate America, I guess corporate Greece, but corporate employee to entrepreneur and coach?
Yeah, of course it's not easy. Of course you have to go to low and high, low and up. You have to pass, as I say, the valleys and the hills and the whole mountain sometime, right? Because it's not easy becoming an entrepreneur, starting something by yourself. And you also have some fears, sometimes some obstacles that you're facing, mental or emotional obstacles, like we all do. And but I can tell you the journey is very rewarding. And once you start, why? Because I feel that this is really my mission. I feel really that this is my true self. I feel really that this is who I was meant to be. And I completely identify with the personality and the role and the behavior and the routine of a coach. So I can tell you, Anthony, I feel that I walk the talk, around holistic coaching,
Yeah.
because I'm all into my physical health, all into my mental health and my mental well-being, my emotional well-being, my emotional health, and the spiritual aspect of it, in all sense. And I feel quite aligned. And this here the challenge for everyone, and it was for me as well, how to feel aligned in all these 4 different levels of awareness, or 4 different levels of well-being, if I may say so.
So you've had some different parts of your career, right? You worked in the corporate side. Sounds like you took some time off, and now you're more on the entrepreneurial side. All the while you were a father, how have you been able to juggle the two? What tips or tricks do you have for people that are looking to continue to build their career but still focus on their family life as well?
Yeah, I think something that really helps me in this trip and be able to manage this is that I'm very clear with my boundaries. So I'm setting very very clear personal boundaries, which I consider also to be healthy boundaries on what I want to achieve and how I can manage this with my family, my wife, and my kids, which means that they know that we're going to have, let's say, quality time together. I'm going to be present there. I'm going to be fully 100% present with them when we have this quality time. Either be we're going to the movies together, or we have an adventure game together, or we create something, we innovate something from our minds, to spend some quality time with them, or to study with them, or to support them with any needs they may have. So one I would say it's very very important, the boundaries, the personal boundaries, and how you communicate these with your family, all the family, not only the partner but also the kids, because also the kids want to have boundaries, and they need to have also to have some discipline around them, because I consider this is an interesting, very important tool for their lives as well, in order to feel safe and to have to be able to manage their time, and to be able to manage also their expectations, and be able to manage and achieve their goals in life. So one thing, yes, definitely it's boundaries. Second thing is for sure presence and mindfulness, meaning when you do something, be there 100%, focus on this, and then finish it, be efficient, and then go to the next thing you need to achieve, you need to have it during your day. But of course, before that, you need to know your priorities, and you need to be very clear with your priorities and with your goals.
Yeah. What about tips for self-care? Do you find time to still take care of yourself, especially, when you have younger kids? I know it's just a lot of, I'm in the middle of it right now, so it's a lot of work, right? So how do you make time for yourself, and any advice there?
A lot of time. So I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I try to train myself, in early in the morning, and then maybe meditate for 10, 15 minutes. And then 3 times a week or 4 times a week, I get to do my kung fu training, and I get to do other training. Now my son is getting older, so we can do stuff together. We can train together. We can spend this quality time by training, or going out for a bicycle, or for a bike. We go out for some football, so try to create with him this quality time. With my daughter, accordingly, we do other things. Maybe we go to the swimming pool together, or maybe we go for a nice walk, or for a nice bike ride as well at the same time. So I try now to have self-care when I do something alone, but at the same time also share this self-care, let's say, time together with my family and together with my kids.
That's great. What about just like general time management skills? Do you find ways of blocking things off to be helpful, or like how do you balance the time commitments, especially maybe now when you're building a business where you might be working more hours sometimes, right, than you were in the corporate world?
Yes, yes, definitely. The one good thing when you're an entrepreneur is that at least how I feel, right? And is that you have this time freedom, because when you're an employee, as you know, you're more restricted to work these 8, 10, 10, 12 hours a day in an office, or being remotely, it doesn't matter, but still you have this kind of meetings, continuous meetings, etc. Being entrepreneur, I see some flexibility, and I see some opportunity to manage my time the way I want, and then make the meetings when I plan to make to. So I plan my meetings accordingly. I integrate them to my family schedule. I try to integrate these with also the social life around my social life, so that yes, time management is critical. But I have two very very important principles, Anthony, in this journey: uh, time and energy. Meaning, for me, it's very very important how I manage my time and how I manage my energy, because I was always trying to save time and save my energy in order to invest it in things that I really care about. Could be my family, could be my self-care, could be traveling, could be experience, could be friends, whatever. So for me, these two things very, very important: time management and energy management.
Have you spent much time in America?
In the US, I was during my master's degree. I was in New York actually
Oh, you were?
for for 5 months,
Okay.
and I had the opportunity. But that was back in 1994, right?
Okay.
1994. Yeah, 1994 actually. It was springtime of 1994, and I stayed there for 5 months. I had the time also to travel and the opportunity to travel a little bit to Los Angeles, a bit to Phoenix, Arizona. I
Okay. So
had
you've been around a little.
Alabama,
Oh,
Was
wow. Exotic.
Washington, Washington D.C., Boston, New
Okay.
Orleans. New Orleans,
Okay.
my
You've seen it. You've seen it all, man. I'm just curious. I assume you grew up in Greece, right?
correct.
So you
Yes.
grew up in Greece. You're now raising a family in Qatar. I'm curious just to hear some of the differences between family life in Greece, family life in Qatar, and then if you did have any idea of what it was like in America as well when you were here.
Yeah, in the US, I cannot tell you because I was really young. I was young back then. I was a student, so I didn't care about family back then.
Yeah.
Right? But I can imagine now, because I have still friends there, have families, still families that they live there. I can imagine
Mm.
how it could be. And I guess it's completely different being in a busy city like a New York, or being in a more rural area, let's say, or in another state, which made things a little bit, let's say, not easier going, but the routine could be differently than New York, because New York could be very challenging, especially having a family. I'm sure
Sure.
about that because I've lived. I understand the city and the rhythm of the city and the challenges in such a big city.
Yeah.
In now comparing Qatar and Greece, it's also a different story because Qatar here is a relatively small country in a small city with their cultural challenges because of the Muslim environment, because of the religion, etc. But hopefully, expats can have a good life in Qatar as long as they have, let's say, a moderately a good profession, and they can. And life in Qatar is relatively easy because you have the services around you. You can pay for the if you can pay for the services. The distances are small, going to school, going back, doing things, going for shopping or whatever you want to do with your family. Athens in Greece is very challenging as well. It's a bit more chaotic, very, very busy. It's closer to New York. So if you live in Athens, yes, I would say it's quite challenging. It's like similar to New York City.
Yeah. And is it similar, like just the way that families are raised? I imagine there's different family values in Greece versus Qatar, right? Have you noticed any differences in the way that maybe the way you were raised versus maybe the way some of your kids' friends' families are now?
Yes, very, very different because here the culture is different. Here you're talking about Arabic and Muslim families, which by default, they have different kind of beliefs and religious beliefs, which is fine. That's the right to have, but it's a different mentality than the Greek, which is Christian Orthodox. Different kind of mentality, different kind of education, different kind of um, accept it in a way, things that you can experience and you can experience in a European country than here. And of course, you have a very big difference, what's happening in Europe and Greece compared to what's happening here in Qatar regarding the men and women equality.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, but this is a bit sensitive issue
Yeah.
here.
Well, I'm sure we could talk about, have a whole podcast about that topic, but no, it's just so interesting to hear how different cultures do things. And, we're talking about work life and family life. And I think some of those things are universal, but some of them are also, I think, culturally, different. What else? Any other tips for busy working parents out there? Anything else that you found to be really help you in that endeavor?
I think something very, very important is communication. So communication between the partners, the parents, between the father and the mother, very, very important, because there needs to be alignment there, and there needs to be empathy and understanding between the parents in order for both of them to be able to grow and to what they want to do and what they want to achieve. Because if one of the two parents is really going after his or her goals and objectives and achievements, and the other parent is feeling that is staying back or lagging behind, then there could be tension. Then there could be tension, a big tension in the family. So my experience says, because I experienced this as well, for a few months, I told you, because for this transition, I was always, before coming here in Qatar, back in Greece, my corporate career was at a very high level, senior corporate position, C-suite level, very good compensation, everything, so everything was flowing beautifully. When I made this transition, which I call it disruption, it was really a disruption for me.
Yeah.
So beginning the first even 1 or 2, 3 years to go to this transition, I felt that, what's happening here to me? Am I not enough? I cannot do the thing that I want. My life has changed because of my wife, let's say, decision, which I respected 100%. And I took also my decision, to quit my job and everything. But I felt this, so it was not an easy transition. That's why I'm saying that this experience is very important. Communication is very, very important between the partners and the parents, to be able to have this alignment and be very, very clear what are the goals for each one, what are the objectives, what are the expectations, and how we can both grow together.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move into the final segment, which we're going to call Tassos's Advice Corner. So I'm going to ask you for some advice on a few topics. All right, you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so first question. Well, you are a women's executive coach, empowerment coach. So what advice do you have for a woman who has an executive role and is about to become a mom?
Yeah. First of all, it has to be very, very conscious decision on both aspects. Very, very conscious decision. And then if it's a very conscious decision, it has to be a very clear, what is my plan as a mom, to be able to manage this personal and professional life, and what is my priority in the end. Because in the end, you have to say what is more important than me for this specific period of time. Because you may say that, yes, now my child growth, my child well-being is the most important aspect for me as a mother. So that's fine. Maybe you can invest 2, 3, 5 years, 8, 10 years doing that. But if it's a conscious decision, 100%, then you can really back it up emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. And then you know that at some point you'll be able to go back to your professional career. So for me, it's self-awareness, very, very important, and full consciousness of what I'm going into,
Yeah.
becoming a mother.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
I've ever received?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. I think the advice that was, be open to the unknown. Be open to the unknown, meaning that whatever comes to you, don't be fast to judge it.
Yeah.
Don't be fast to get fear around it or creative negative talk about around it, because we all have the skills and we all have the talents and we all have the capacity to overcome all challenges. So if we are really open to the unknown, it means that we also have the resilience to be able to overcome these challenges. Because life, you never know what happens in the next 1 minute. We don't know. So we have to be open to the unknown. We have to be open to expect anything that can throw on us and how we manage this.
What advice would you give to your former self?
To my former self, I would give former self. It depends how many years ago, but let's say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. So my former self, I would give an advice that I could have started earlier this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I could have started earlier, and I would say to him that, you have the skills, you have everything that you need to really grow and really succeed. and there's no need for any fear. There's no need for any feeling that you're not enough or you're not sufficient or you don't have what it takes to really, serve and really impact.
All right. Last question. By the time this recording comes out, my daughter will probably be maybe 3 months or 4 months tops. So what advice you have for me as a father of a 3 to 4 month old daughter?
Still you're young, it's still is very young, right? So,
Yes.
but still, these are the first 5 or 6 years of the child, as you may know already, as a parent, is very, very important for their mental wellness and mental well-being and emotional well-being. So I would say try to be as present as possible, enjoy every single minute as much as possible, especially for these first 5 or 6 years, because you can support your daughter to really enjoy the best, receive the best. And if there is love around it, then everything is solved. Then everything really, you can face any challenge by providing love, by giving yourself to your kids. I see that also with, as I told you, with Maya, my daughter, that she's adopted. And that's a completely different story, right? But still, if love is in the air, as we say, real, authentic, and true love, miracles happen.
Love that. Well, Tassos, this has been a great conversation. Where can people go to learn more about you or connect with you or anything that you want to share?
Well, they can find me in my website, which is my name. It's tassoskotzias.com. And if I can spell, that would be TASSOSKOTZIAS.com. Of course, I have my social media and I have my LinkedIn profile as well. And happy also at the same time, because we're doing this podcast together, I would be happy to offer a 30 minutes free consultation call to any of the audience that would be interested to learn more. Come get in touch with me, I'll be happy to offer more tips and advice on how to really, really be successful in what they want to achieve.
Awesome. Well, I'll be sure to link to all that in the show notes as well. All right. Tassos Kotzias, ladies and gentlemen. Tassos, thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure, Anthony. Thank you for giving me this chance, to share some and exchange some ideas and some insights. I hope we provided some interesting value to your audience.
Absolutely. I think we did too. Thank you.